austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So, the purport is small and rich. It's enriched with some substance from Srila Prabhupada's own realizations and from the scriptures. So in the purport here, it is mentioned that we have to perform the purport and the verse. It mentions categorically that we have to use this body to perform some austerities. And the austerity that we should use the body to perform is for our own purification. And the austerity is so simple. You're not being asked not to eat. You're not being asked, we are not being asked not to eat. We're simply being asked to be respectful towards people, to be subservient toward authority. What is who is our immediate authority? As a child, we are groomed by our parents, mother and father. We have to respect these people. These people brought us to this world. No matter what you become in the world, we should always remember that some people, a man and a woman, brought us into this world. So I mean, this is just a practical and cultural value that any intelligent person should imbibe this type of culture. Why we have to do this? Because even respect is reciprocal. If we respect someone, or if we are respectful towards people, towards elders, towards our parents, we're service-oriented towards the spiritual master and towards the Brahmanas, and others who are learned in the Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge, what do we lose? We stand to gain, because service, respect, whatever you do in this world is reciprocal, you know. It's like planting the seed on a farm or on a plantation. If you plant Irish potatoes, don't expect to go and harvest corn. Oh yeah. So we all that we are passing through in this world, we are actually harvesting what we have planted in the previous phases of our lives. We are simply harvesters. We are harvesting what we have planted. Like, you know, I have so much of terrible situations in terms of health. So I should be thinking, whoo, I'm just a simple guy. I remember one justice in Africa, actually he's my cousin in Nigeria, so he used to complain about, you know, about the village, about people, like anything. So one day I asked him that, hey boy, you should figure out, you should just question yourself. You don't like the environment, right? He said, no. I said, so you question yourself, why you were born into that environment? If you had a choice, you would have been born there, right? He said, no. I said, now you question yourself, why were you specifically thrown into a woman's womb in that environment? So sometimes simple logic could really stimulate some thinking. So I remember, you know, we've not seen for years now, about 4 years or 5 years, and he's been trying to reach me on the phone and all this thing. I'm busy, okay? So sometimes people don't take recognition of what is transpiring. They don't question. They don't tinkle their brain to think about something. Of course, people in general, when we are even violent to other creatures, the irony is that we are violent, but we are looking for peace. And this is going on. But activities that we perform by dint of universal justice, I call it requital justice. By dint of requital justice, we have to pay the price for everything that we do. And we also have to get positive results for positive things that we do. And that is the whole foundation of the variegatedness in the material world. According to the American according to American Psychological Science Association, the violence means to hurt somebody or to hurt a group of people or entities, embodied entities. So each time we hurt somebody, we should not think that it's when I don't eat meat that I'm not violent. That's not true. Each time you hurt somebody, you're violent. In other words, each time you hurt somebody, you have broken one of the principles of Vaishnava culture. Oh yeah? Yeah, we tend to be just so much ephemeral, just on the surface. But no meat eating means, why? Why no meat eating? Why don't you enjoy the meat? We don't want to be violent. First principle, this is just a sociological principle. We don't want, do this. If you see someone walking his dog or her dog, I'll kick the dog in the face. Usually they can kick the dog in the face. Try doing that in New York here. You'll be arrested. Why? Because it's violence. The unfortunate thing is that even the people who will call the police for you for snapping at their dogs, they commit the worst violence. They're eating meat. They're aiding and abetting the slaughtering of millions and billions of animals. I want to be peaceful, but I go about hurting people. How am I going to be peaceful? Because by dint of requited justice, whatever we put into the eaters, whatever actions that we perform, when we placate someone's situation, we get positive feedback. When we're violent or when we hurt people, we get also feedback on that. And so this verse is saying that the tendency to be violent is there in all of us. All of us, we have that proclivity to be violent, to hurt people. We have it endemic in us. It's just so easy to snap at somebody. I was just they sent me some horrible news. I mean, this guy, Chris Watts. Have you heard that story? Some of you have heard that story. In Colorado, his wife is pregnant. He killed his wife. He killed his 2 daughters, and he went to the TV and said, "Hey, my wife and my children, they are missing. Do something. I want my family back." Sometimes people think to take someone to court, you're the winner. Or to go and report to the police, this has happened. And you're free from it. Okay, he went to make the plea and the announcement that his family is missing, his wife and children are missing, pregnant wife. So they started investigating, and then later they came to round him up. Violence. We're talking about violence. So you see how we are so violent. You tell somebody, darling, I dream of you all the time. I can't do without you. I want to marry you. I want to form a family and have beautiful children, intelligent children. After you use that for some days, or some months, some years, the kids, 2 daughters, one is 3, one is 4. He killed the wife. What is the reason? According to some of the information, he is having an affair with some man or some woman or something like that. Violence. So to kill somebody is not the only violence. We hurt people, we're being violent to them. And so, the point here is that austerity has to be performed. The urges are there to, when you feel hard, you want to overreact. But, human beings are different from the lower animals. The lower animals, they act instinctively. Humans, we have an obligation to be able to control ourselves. We can't do anything we want to do. You can say, well, I am from Chile, South America. I came to this country. In our country, we drive by the left. So I'll drive by the left right here in New York. Okay, good for you. You get arrested by the cops. Sometimes we don't want to be regulated but by dint of the laws of nature, which basically the constitutions of different countries are mostly derivatives from the universal laws of nature. For instance, ethics, violence, they are abhorred in the very scriptures. They are condemned. And so, instead of being violent, we could really use this body in the opposite direction by serving the Brahmanas, by worshiping the spiritual master, by honoring our parents. That is, even your parents are not devotees. And sometimes the tendency is to think, well, I'm a devotee, why not everybody become a devotee? I think what I hear also, I was telling a story some time back, how one of my friends in DC, she's a retired banker, elderly lady. One day she called me on the phone some years ago when she was actively working in the bank. And she said, Maharaj, I think I should just dump them. I said, dump what? He said, my parents. I said, what happened? Because they're not ready to follow anything. I said, so now you're a devotee and you become so puffed up that you are condemning everybody in the family. Yeah, that's how I responded to her. She's an older folk. And then, so she just, calmed down. So we tend to think that to chant Hare Krishna, to follow this standard Prabhupada has given to us, is such a cheap thing. Why not everybody should do it? Couldn't do it. It's not so cheap. So we should honor people, whether they follow our tradition or not. We should honor people. We should respect people. Because these fingers are not the same. These fingers, they're not the same. But the 5 fingers help in when they cooperate, they help to do a lot of things. They start fighting. We never see these fingers fighting. Did you ever see your fingers, your 5 fingers fighting? No. There is always cooperation, isn't it? So, in the same way, in the spirit of cooperation, we have to understand that love is reciprocal, respect is reciprocal, worship is reciprocal. And all of these activities that women perform in these bodies, we should think, is this going to help to purify me? Because violent activities wouldn't help to purify us. They would simply facilitate our degradation. And so here, in the scriptures, in this very text, austerity of the body is emphasized. And there are so many things we can do with this body in Krishna consciousness. And whatever we do with this body, it helps to purify us. It helps to clear off the fogs of negativities in our lives. When we create an atmosphere, or when we create an environment where we are setting an example of respectfulness, we are setting an example of worshiping the spiritual master, we are setting an example of worshiping the Brahmanas, respecting, honoring those who are imbued with practitioners of Vedic knowledge, then we are creating a viable future. Because that viable future, we also be a part of the beneficiaries. And so there's nothing we do that just goes to the drain, or it goes. No. Whatever we do, we actually do it to ourselves. And therefore, the best we can do is to use this body wisely. We have to set an agenda, navigate our way through the eyes of the scriptures, the instructions of the spiritual master, and the very good advice of the sadhus, Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. If we follow this standard of Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra, we are performing the required austerities and penances for this body, or with this body. He didn't mention you should fast every day. No, he didn't mention that. So what is the difficulty? Austerity of the body. Don't speak hogwash. Insincere nonsense that it could be implicating, that could incriminate us. Hogwash should be avoided. Because hogwash, it simply hurts people. If we are really careful even with what we have to eat, we don't want to make this body a cemetery or a crematorium. We always send, dead bodies. Crematorium is a place where we send dead bodies and, burn them. Or a burying ground where they just dig and then bury the bodies. So we should not make our stomach burying grounds or a crematorium. This means if we are doing this, it constitutes violence on this body, because that is not what the body is supposed to be used for. And we are not performing the austerities recommended in the scriptures. And if we are not, life is meant for austerities. What is austerity? A child goes to school. They don't like to leave the home under the auspices of, the mom, the dad, especially the mom. The mothers are very good at petting the children. Of course, some are harsh. But in general, a kid, I remember my own days when I was a kid, I didn't like to go to school. I remember my dad went to arrange with the teacher of my class, he got, and the teacher come, they come with, all of my classmates. I think where I was in grade 1 or something like that. And I was just being pet at home like anything. So I said, come on, to hell with this school business. But then they came and they started singing songs that I have to come with them. So I was ashamed then, I went to dress up and then, follow them to school. So I didn't like it. But as I grew up, I began to realize that, what? I'm not going to be in this house for the rest of my life. I just have to prepare to get out from this place. Means career-wise, school, health, reading. So there's an austerity involved. We don't like to go to school because a lot of austerities are involved. You don't sleep, you have to keep awake. Reading, so much anxieties. Who likes anxieties? If there's a mall where they sell anxieties, will you go and buy? Because it's not a grocery. It's not a grocery. It's not a juice. So, austerity means we are inconveniencing ourselves for something that will bring a great outcome. So today the weather is not so good. The temperature is getting down. And so people to leave their homes could be just a big problem. So you find the time to come to 26 Token Avenue here to participate in the program. That's an austerity. And the austerity recommended in this age of Kali is basically to chant Hare Krishna. And what do? With this body, with the vocal cavity, with the tongue. And what is the result? What is the outcome? We get purified and auspiciousness is awaiting us. And therefore, there are so many things that we could do with this body. We can serve Krishna. We can cook for Krishna. We can clap our hands. We can sing for Krishna. We can preach Krishna consciousness to people. We can try to be more available to people. We can be friendly, loving to people. And these are all aspects of austerities. If we follow the scriptures, the standard of the scriptures, that is a very good austerity we need to do with this body. But the people who reject the scriptures, they are not, according to Bhagavad-gita, they are not happy right now. They will not be happy in the future. So someone may query, I know so many people who don't follow the scriptures, and they're very happy. Yeah, apparently they're happy. Get close to them very well. Get close to them. The other day someone wanted to talk with me, and when I look at his profile, one professor from Walden, he's the chief methodologist in his College of Management. When I look at his profile, he had he had 3 doctorates, a PhD, a DSc, a Doctor of Literature. But when I was talking to him on the phone, I could feel how unhappy he was. In fact, even at that time, he was sick. But he has to force himself to talk with me because there was some issue that they needed to address and he needed to talk with me. So those who reject the scriptures, who live their lives based on the whims and caprices of the mind, the demands of the mind and the sensory modalities, they're not happy. You may look at them, they're smiling. You go to the office, and then they smile at you. The reception, they smile at you, and The point is, if we don't perform some simple austerities with this body, we can't be happy. So, I mean, here's a typical case. I wanted to travel one time, so I was speaking with the airline official, one lady, and that time I used to be like, typical funny. So we're talking, and I asked her, "Are you happy?" She said, "Shall I tell you the truth?" I said, "Yes." Tell me the truth. She said that she's not happy. I said, "But wait a minute. When we come to your office, people are smiling and all this." He said, "Please, don't misunderstand. This is the way we are trained to deal with customers. You ask a personal question. Am I happy?" I said, "I'm not happy." So it's a facade. A smile that people put on your face. You go to the office and say, "How are you?" "Oh, great." Okay. And we don't want to hear someone being practical. I remember one of my young God brothers in D.C. Each time he asked me that, "Maharaj, how are you?" I said, "Well, I'm still hanging out here in this body." He said, No, don't say that. Just say it's great." I said, "I can't be pretentious to say it's great. It's not great." When I had an accident in 1990, which later brought all these complications I'm having. So I was in, what do you call it? ICU or whatever, intensive care unit. I had a terrible accident, bladder rupture, pelvic fracture, so many lacerations, so many other fractures. So I was there, I just underwent some surgeries, and then the chief nurse of that emergency ward, she came in, and then she greeted, "Good morning, patients." And everybody said, "Good morning, nurse." I kept quiet. And then she came around to the different beds, and prior to that, she has known me to be a writer, because she saw one advertorial, one of my papers in one magazine that was coming up, article in one magazine that was coming up, and they advertised it in a national newspaper. And so she came to me and said, "Vasudeva, good morning." I said, "Excuse me, nurse. So you think that this morning is really good for me, and I'm in this place in your hospital, in an intensive care unit?" She said, for the whole of the decade she has worked as a nurse, she never had somebody respond like this. I said, "You have not had anybody respond like this, doesn't mean that everything is okay." So the point is about a culture, about what we need to do with this body. So when we engage in activities which are not ordained in the scriptures, we may be happy about it now. And then at the time that we are even performing so much of austerities, and then we are suffering, and then people wonder that, "Oh, he's very Parker in doing this and doing that. Why is Krishna not being? Why is this partiality? See, there's some partiality here. There's no partiality. There's nothing like partiality." So we fail to see, and we fail to understand what we hear or what we see. Partiality. Even after seeing, we don't seem to understand. Even after hearing, we don't seem to understand. So this is a problem that we have, and it is one of the reasons is because the complications arise because we don't have clear consciousness. We don't have purified consciousness. So these austerities help us to develop purified consciousness, to understand things on a grander scale, to look at things from a bigger at a bigger scene or a bigger picture of things. Otherwise, we just think about the here and now, And then there's so much of injustice in the world. So, the whole idea is that people should be regulated. If we are regulated in our lifestyles, whatever we're doing, our sleeping, our eating, our mating, then basically we will be blessed with all auspiciousness because we are using this body wisely, because we are using this body acting based on sarcastic injunctions. The whole of the mysteries in the material world is because people are not willing or they are not performing even the least austerities and penance that this body was supposed to be meant for. And so here Prabhupada has helped us, Lord Chaitanya has helped us. They've given us a very simple methodology, simple approach, simple design to chant Hare Krishna. And if you're initiated, you need to give, maybe some people use 2 hours, some people 5 minutes per round, means about 1 hour 20 minutes or 1 hour 30 minutes, whatever. It's an austerity because some people are so impatient, they can't give that time to God. Even after receiving 24 hours from God, gratis, free, no bills. So, it takes simple wisdom to appreciate the fact that, yes, this body, we should use it for a higher purpose. And that means we should perform some penance and austerity. And the penance that are required in this age is just to chant Hare Krishna. That is the highest penance you can do. Every other penance we are performing, every other austerity we are performing, simply is just to facilitate that process of coming to this level of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So inconvenience, we are already accepting inconvenience very favorably. I remember for the first time I visited some place, and I was living in a temple. I visited someone in some city, and about 4 o'clock, he was up. He's not a devotee, okay? 4 o'clock, he is up preparing to go to work. It's austerity. It is austerity. So that austerity, people are already performing. Dovetail it to Krishna consciousness, and your life will be perfect. Wake up early to chant Hare Krishna. Why not? What's the difficulty? Waking up early to chant Hare Krishna. So, bottom line is that we have been endowed with wonderful bodies. Some people, they have very healthy bodies. Some people, they have very beautiful bodies. But what are these bodies meant for? For austerities. Tapu divyam, dental austerities in Krishna consciousness. And sometimes some people, they just wake up, they choose one day in a week to fast. It's not in the scriptures. It's not recommended, days for fasting. We have recommended days for fasting. The Ekadasi days, the days of the appearances and disappearances of acharyas, Janmashtami, Rudastami. They're specific days, holy days. But some people, they just attune to performing some austerity. Now we are saying, dovetail those proclivity in Krishna's service and become purified and get back to home, back to God. What is the difficulty? So, any comments or questions? Worship of the Lord has to be there. Worship of the Brahmanas. Worship of the spiritual master. And these days, and I was speaking with somebody and I was mentioning to them, I said, these days to have a spiritual master is like, it's a fashion now. Hey, I got initiated, This is my new name. When are you going to be seen? When are you going to be initiated? You've been in this movement for so many years. I just came a few months ago. I got initiated. That's my guru. That's my guru. So it becomes like a fashion. And then, no obligation. Worship of the guru doesn't mean you go to koto to the guru, you go to pay obeisance to the guru. Who cannot do that? Look, the country where I was born, in Western Nigeria and Northern Nigeria, each time you see elders, some part of the culture, some areas in the West and the North, they greet their parents, their elders, with obeisances. Dandavat pranam. Dandavat. Yeah. Full dandavat. Yeah. Oh yeah. So why don't you transfer that to Krishna? I mean, you pay obeisances like that to Krishna, you get purified. So this is endemic in us to respect parents, to respect elders, to worship the Brahmins. So worship the Vaishnavas, and our lives will be perfected. And worship means service. Just paying obeisances to a spiritual master is not enough. What is your service? That's not going to take you back to Godhead. It just helps to purify the individual, but it's not going to take you back to Godhead. What is required in taking you back to Godhead is a consolidated, regular service. Oh yeah. Austerities. I have a spiritual master. What is your commitment? What's your service? I go to the temple, I participate in the bhajans, go to prasadam, listen to class. That's so good. But if everybody is doing that, how is this movement going to be? Yeah, if everybody is just doing that, what is the movement going? How is the movement going to be? See, you will find this even with Lord Jesus, his followers. He had few disciples, 11 or so, 12 or whatever. But all of them, they had responsibilities. They have to go and preach. They live like Americans. So these days, when we take initiation like a fashion, then we are really like jokers. We're in the mode of joking. Because it's not like that in any tradition. Being connected with that with the parampara means you're getting on board, you're getting aboard the plane bound for Krishna Loka. And so, before you get to that stage, there are so many things involved. And even when you're in the plane, you have to buckle up, buckle your seatbelts and all this stuff. Because sometimes the plane could cruise through an area where it's very turbulent. So to remain steadfast in devotional service also requires some heavy austerities with this body. Service to the spiritual master. And everything is based on mercy. The mercy. Guru Prasada. Mercy of the spiritual master. So we have to understand that Prabhupada has given us all of the facilities that could enable us to fly high in devotional service. That we should be ready to be committed. I remember one time when I was in Africa, one guru visited, and then there was this lady, she was initiated, and then she asked the Guru Maharaj, you're not based here, you're not staying here, you come here only once in a year. What service can I render to you? So the Guru said, do you have a temple president in this temple? She said, yes. He said, go meet the temple president and get some service to do. When you satisfy him, I'm satisfied. I'm not there, but once he's pleased with your service, I'm satisfied with you. Service is austerity of the body. Service is austerity of the body. Because this expedites the process of getting out from this prison suit, getting out from this cell, from this from this jail team. So we need the mercy of Krishna. We need also the mercy of the spiritual master. We need the mercy of the devotees. So service attitude is very important. We have to use our bodies for service. Service to the spiritual master, service to the devotees, service to Prabhupada's mission. And so, by so doing, we are really helping ourselves. We are expediting the process of freedom from these material incoherences. All glories to austerities and penances. Any comments or questions? Or yeah, it's a simple talk. It's a simple class, simple discourse. But the key point there is that we have to use our body wisely for a progressive future. Yes, any comments or questions?
Back to me.
Oli?
Maharaj, thank you. Non-violence, the part you was talking about, many of us, most of us maybe, not eating meat, but because we are violent towards people, in the sense that we communicate violently, we may hurt people, we may do things that may hurt people, not directly, maybe indirectly, but nevertheless. And because of that, we are still violent. It just made me think of this past time with involving King Yudhishthira and Arjuna, where, long story short, Yudhishthira accidentally offends Arjuna by insulting his bow. His bow, Gandiva, he made a vow that if anybody insulted it, that he would kill them. So they had this dilemma. How am I going to kill my own brother? Even if he didn't actually mean to offend the bull, he was just trying to rile Arjuna up to go to battle, to fight. Still, it came out how it came out, and he was faced with this dilemma of following through with his vow. I don't remember if it was Krishna. I was actually just looking it up, trying to figure out who it was that gave the advice. But the advice was given to Arjuna that actually there's more than one way to kill a person. That the other way to kill a person is to insult them, is to say bad things about them to the public, destroy their reputation. So that just made me think of that. Also, somewhere in the Gita, where Krishna is talking about the modes of material nature and how different people behave. At one point, he's talking about how insulting people, saying bad things, just speaking things that are distasteful is in a mode of ignorance. Those things made me think of that. Well, the whole non-violence part made me think of that, and it makes sense. It makes sense that that would be considered violence as well, if the Vedas consider insulting a person and destroying their reputation as a form of violence, a way of committing murder.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good observation or realization, because you see, while the modern social scientists and psychologists do is basically to give us some succinct idea on a particular concept. But in the Vedic literature, they give you an encyclopedic idea, ecclesiastical idea about that very concept. The details are there. And so, yeah, they both are saying the same thing. While these Vedic scriptures, like the instances you're mentioning, is the same thing. When you hurt somebody, you have committed violence against them. And so, what does that do? You hurt somebody, if you're a devotee, it checks your devotional progress. It checks your devotional progress. And therefore, we just avoid being violent to people or talking ills against people. It might be your family member or your spouse or whatever. You see, when people act in certain ways, we need to be proactive. First, if someone acts in a silly way, whether it's your friend, your spouse, or whatever, the first thing is you have to perform some austerity of the body by tolerating that agitation. Someone agitates you. I mean, someone like pokes you. First, the primary thing you have to do is to develop a sense of proaction. If immediately you ask yourself, what am I going to do to help this person? Because two wrongs can make a right. So yeah, it's a very nice related Vedic statement that you refer to, which is to the point about the violence. Yeah, especially people in a mode of ignorance. Not only do they hurt people, they're happy about it. They're happy when they hurt you. Their joy, there's this statement in the Shastra, paradukkha dukhi. A pure devotee is most aggrieved to see the suffering of others. Someone who is in a mode of ignorance is most happy to see the suffering of others. He hurts you and he's happy about it. Parasukha dukhi. He's happy to see the suffering of others. A pure devotee is, paradukkha dukhi. Most aggrieved to see the suffering of others. The one in the mode of passion, one in the mode of ignorance, his joy only comes when you are not happy. When you felt hurt and he gets some type of satiation. It's a very bad value, very bad attitude. But we find that Krishna gives the delineation of all of this in the Gita. So we are having we imbibe those type of cultures also in some cases. We find people who are just the opposite of that. They don't want to see anybody, they don't want to hurt anybody. They just want to see anybody miserable. That's why you find people who fight for just causes. They can't tolerate the suffering of people. Yeah. So a devotee, a preacher, Krishna conscious person, doesn't want to see the suffering of human beings and even animals. And so that's why we are preaching this mission of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu all over the world, to try to recreate, to reinvent a society that we could be proud of, appropriate values for revitalizing society. So thank you. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we have to. Class is supposed to end at 7 o'clock.
7:30.
What's the time now?
It's 7:12.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's always good that we are ahead of time, and if there's no other comments or questions, we have to. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribo.
So I don't know if it's a question. I was just thinking of what Bhaktali said, and I was thinking like the basically unconsciously or like without realizing hurting others, and then and the repercussions of that, and then I was comparing it in my head with unconsciously performing some sort of service or a good deed, or
Yeah.
unconsciously, and the benefits of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's a question, but can you talk a little bit about the two? It just
Yeah.
seems like whether it's done consciously or unconsciously, it seems like there are benefits or consequences.
Yeah. When action is executed, whether it is good or bad, it has some outcome. So, taking the good side first, someone performs some good work. He may have performed some service to you because he's your friend or she's your friend. They're looking at you on a friendly basis or family member, and so they help to do something for you. And that basically, for instance, if they help you in, cleaning up your dirty paraphernalia, for instance, then they perform what we call agyata sukriti. Agyata means something you do without knowing what you're doing or knowing the outcome, without full knowledge of what you're doing. So because it's good, it's service, related to service to the Lord, they get some abundant benefits. Now, that is also applied or applicable to a situation where our actions hurt people, whether we know or not. This is the funny thing about this material world. Whether we know or not, we are culpable. We're guilty. That is why in the purport here, it mentioned about proper behavior. In the purport, it's mentioned people should have proper behavior. Proper behavior is also an austerity of the body. Because if you have proper behavior, if you're ethical, you wouldn't want to hurt anyone. You wouldn't want to say, I use the word hogwash, insincere nonsense. You will hurt people. And so, in both cases, yes, the principle applies. Did you do some good work? Someone does some good things? He gets or she gets some benefits. We do something that is hurtful to people. We may not know that is hurtful to people, but that does not constitute proper behavior. And so when people get hurt, we get some reactions. And that is why for those who live in the temple, each morning we worship Tulsi, and one of the reasons to go around the Tulsi is to help to demystify all non-sinful reactions. Yeah. Everything we do in the temple is very scientific. We talk about Lady Tulsi in the morning, every morning, because there are sometimes you would have committed or we would have committed some offense against somebody without even we knowing. So the whole idea is that, see, offense that we commit without unconsciously is not as grave as the ones that we commit intentionally. Even in law, I think it's like that. If it is proven in the court that you planned this, is it not true? You plan this killing. You plan and kill this person. You be committed for murder. But if it happened by accidentally, then they say it's manslaughter. It's the same killing, but it's a different. Yes, so that's the whole situation. It's also applicable in universal recruitable justice. Yeah, that's also a nice point you raised. Thank you.
Can I ask
Yeah.
when you were talking about serving the brahmanas and the guru, and then you brought the example of the person who wasn't sure whether the guru would be pleased with the service. So how do we know?
Yeah.
How do we know that the guru is pleased with our service?
Yeah, you will know when the guru is pleased with your service. Sometimes the guru, they will tell directly that, hey, I'm very happy with you. I'm very happy with your service. Yeah, there are some people that they know the mood of their spiritual master. So they go out their way to do something that will be pleasing to the spiritual master. Then there are some people that the guru will give them instructions before they do it. And there are some people that even the guru give them instruction, they won't do it anyway. So it's a game where we have choices. So here, basically, you will know. See, I know, like in my case with my spiritual master, he gave me some real hard knocks, instructions that if he gives to some people, they will just be offensive. So, but then he knows that I'm the stubborn type. I can do it. I can do it. So, yeah. And I remember before I came to the US, when he ordered me to go and preach to professors, and then there was so much of favorable outcome from that instruction and from that service. He was so happy. I mean, openly he will tell me. Openly. I remember one time when I was still in Africa, he called me into his room, and then he just came from a world tour, and he told me, if some other devotee was doing this service, they would have left. They would have gone to become professors in some university. Yeah, that's what he told me. Yeah, so when we are performing some service, we will know. Guru may even tell you directly that your guru may even tell you directly that they're happy with you, and that's your perfection, because all of the process of devotional service is based on mercy of the spiritual master, mercy of Krishna, mercy of the devotees. Yeah. And if we don't know what to do, I mean, you see, our progress becomes expedited when we serve the orders of the spiritual master. Yeah, you make so much of progress, but also you'll be like, with some spiritual masters, you'll be like, they'll beam a searchlight on you, okay? So the things that other people may do and they will keep quiet. No, they will not keep quiet with you. They watch everything. They want you to do it perfectly well. And so you become like, they'll be critical with you. Yeah. But again, that is part of the mercy. And essentially, they will tell you that they are pleased with you. You look at Prabhupada. I mean, even my spiritual master, because of his service to Prabhupada, Prabhupada would openly tell him, I'm very happy with your service. Well, yeah. Because he was distributing books in the former Soviet Union and all this stuff. Yeah, very tough places, There are some places he goes, so they would trail him. People would trail him. And he would even wrong. So yeah, the bottom line is that you will know, Guru will tell you that they're happy with your service. And that service of the Guru is non-violence. It's austerity of the body. Yeah. All right. So we like to call it a day. So is that how to say it? Yeah.
Sure.
Let's join this meeting.
Call it a night.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.